and welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Tuesday, December 11th, 2018. Quickly, trading stocks has a high level of risk and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice. Always for your further homework. Good morning, Sue here on this Tuesday morning where it looks as though we're going to get a strong bounce in the market. So with that, let's get straight into today's video. If you know me, you know I always start my videos off with a look at the Russell Index. Why? Because I always want to make sure that I've got a feel for the broader markets before I look at any individual charts. And for me, I like the Russell Index. I use it as my proxy because I deem it to be the most rate sensitive of the indexes, and I want to keep my processes simple. So I start by looking at IWM, which is the ETF for the Russell 2000. And I like to step back and take a look at things on a 5-year monthly time frame. I love that bigger picture look. So as we've been talking about in our videos lately, the Russell started this uptrend. We're looking at the 5-year monthly chart. These are monthly candles. Started this uptrend back in early 2016, has been in this beautiful uptrend until the month of October, where price for the very first time closed below my 8-day EMA, which is this blue line, on the monthly chart. It was followed by a doji in November, a doji right at our area of support and resistance, which is my purple line. And now the candle so far for the month of December is a red one. However, it could be erased in the next couple of weeks should market strength return. So it's take it day by day kind of market if you ask me. But this is the bigger picture look right now. Now I'm going to move it into the 1-year weekly so we can better see how price is behaving. So here we have the weekly, same purple line, and we've been talking about how this purple line lent support back here. At the beginning of the year, it tried to offer support here, failed. Last week was a big failure with a huge engulfing red candle at an important area. So I'm still super, super cautious. We're going to get a big bounce this morning. We're probably going to test the purple line. If we get clearance, so if we get a weekly candle, I keep saying I'm looking for a weekly candle on the Russell at my purple line that is like this kind of a candle or this kind of a candle, a nice bullish weekly candle that engulfs my 8-day, kind of like this over here, then that's a safer place to be involved if you ask me. So we're down here, looks like we're going to get a bounce. I'm going to profile a company that might be worth taking a look at, but I still say until the Russell moves up and over my purple line, engulfs my 8-day EMA, it's a little bit of a tricky spot to be in. So that's what I look for. That's the weekly look. Let's go take a look at it on the daily. 3-month daily, so you can see how we got a little bit of a hammer on the Russell yesterday. It was still a red candle, but we might start to advance towards the purple line. We might start to see it take the blue 8-day EMA, but I really want to see it up and over my purple and ticking higher this way. But in the event that we do get a strong market in the next couple of days, I'm going to profile a company that I think might be worth looking at. And that chart that I wanted to feature for you this morning is AT&T, ticker symbol T, trades on the New York Stock Exchange. Believe it or not, for this chart, I'm pulling it back to the 10-year monthly. You might think that's a bit extreme, but what I want you to see on the 10-year monthly is this area of consolidation. Years of consolidation for AT&T. 13, 14, 15, and then in 16, we got this lift up and over this area of support resistance with a nice bullish candle up and over my 8-day EMA, and it brought us up to new highs. I'm featuring this chart because of this area of support resistance being so strong with years fortifying it and where we are right here, right now. I think this is a very compelling chart in this area. So that's the 10-year look. Now I'm going to zoom it into the smaller time frame. I'm going to go 5-year. No, I'm going to go 1-year weekly because you've got the big picture look already. So here's the weekly look. So yes, this is a downtrending chart. but I see a lot of lift in this chart. And you know me, I am the value and growth gal. I'm all about the fundamentals underneath the charts, and I'm telling you, AT&T is packed with them. So I like the way it's behaving at my area of support resistance. I like to see the buyers coming in, so the volume bars are starting to pick up. I expect that if it starts to lift here, the volume's really going to pick up. So it's a little early on this chart, but I like the base building I see here, the congestion in this area. Now I'm going to move it over to the 6-month daily, and here's what I like. I like this low here off my orange line of support resistance. This is the same one that goes all the way back for 10 years. I like the way it's behaving here. So we had a low, we have a higher low, and then look at how it defended this area yesterday, this long hammer. And I can tell you why I think that happened. AT&T is in my dividend aristocrat basket, the basket I go to when markets are bouncing off lows, where the value and the scores and the dividends are nice and juicy. AT&T currently has a dividend yield of 6.69%. Wow. And this business model is changing for them as well. They're rolling out that 5G network is a big deal. I don't know enough about it to really offer you any real knowledge on 5G, except that it is a big deal. It's a game changer for a lot of companies, and I think AT&T might be one of them. So I love the long hammer. I like that I like the look. So what I'm expecting is for AT&T, should the markets continue to show strength and this bounce be a real bounce and we have that Santa Claus rally, then AT&T will start to take my 3 and 8. So I go for the 3 and 8 cross, and it keeps you out of trouble if you stay true to this whole 3 and 8 or whatever your rules are. And I look for the 3, which is the pink, crossing the blue, and the blue moving higher, so ticking higher. So in anticipation, of that happening here with AT&T, I would say get ready in the next couple of days. I wouldn't be too surprised to see that 3 and 8 cross, and if it does, after all of these touches and the way the markets have been behaving, perhaps we'll get a longer run and clear sailing on this chart. We'll see. It's all about what the markets want to do. It could be more chop ahead easily, but I love the look of this chart and the scores underneath it. Whoops, normally I go through the scores before I start getting into the chart, and I forgot to do that this morning. I apologize, so I'm going to go back and do that now. So AT&T is a big telecommunications company in the US. I'm sure a lot of people are very familiar with it. So it's in that sector. It's got a really nice high value score, which is something it's one of the most important metrics for me. It's also got a forecasted earnings growth rate going forward of 10%, a current PE of 8.57, and again, it's that dividend yield. Dividend yield currently of 6.69%. So we're looking at the 2-year weekly. 2-year weekly, you can see the chop around this area of very, very, very strong support, as we referred to on that big 10-year chart. So there's the weekly. I'm going to go back to the daily quickly just for the purposes of this score thing. And you can see the bounce. And I would expect in a continued strong market, and I have no idea whether it will be continued strong or not, but should we start to get that bounce and AT&T move off this area and into that 3 and 8 cross, very interesting chart to me. Love the scores, love what's happening underneath it, the 5G thing. It's got everything I look for. Along with the chart I'm looking at, I also like to take a look at the sector that it's in. So to be consistent, we're looking at the 10-year monthly for IYZ, which is the ETF for the telecommunications sector. You can see that it's up and over that area of support and resistance, just like where AT&T is sitting right at it. The ETF itself has been ticking up through 2018. So I want you to see the consolidation over here through 14 and 15, the lift, just like AT&T. It came into this area of support, and for the most part, 2018 has not been too bad for the telecommunications sector. So I'm going to move it away from the 10-year monthly to the 1-year weekly. And you can see the consolidation down here earlier in the year, the lift. And unlike the other indexes, it really hasn't brought us back down to lower levels. It's been hanging around and holding tight in this area here. So I like to see that. I think that's encouraging. And again, AT&T is a big component of this ETF, this industry, and it has that brilliant dividend. So that's one of the reasons I'm picking it. Also, if you know me, you know I also like to look at Equity Clock, which is an amazing site. Really like it a lot for seasonality, and you can see that AT&T comes into seasonal favor at this time of year. No guarantee that happens again this year, but always good to know. As well, I like to spin over to FinViz. Oops, there it is. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but FinViz is a really excellent site I go to all the time. Let me see if I can get into... So we're looking at the FinViz page for AT&T, and you can see all of the recent upgrades. Also like to see that. Some favorable articles here as well, and again, they're rolling out that 5G network. I think that's imminent. So all these things may bode well for AT&T. So to quickly recap, let's go back and check the boxes for AT&T. I started today's video with a look at the Russell Index, and we note I like to see the Russell up and over that 8-day EMA on the daily and the weekly chart. So this is not checked. The market's in a downtrend. I'm not checking this box. You want to be aware of that. Having said that, we're getting a strong bounce in the market at an area that may offer some support. We'll see. So we're looking at AT&T. We looked at the 10-year chart for AT&T, and we note that it's at an area of strong support because it goes back such a long way. And it may start to bounce here and may offer an area of possible, emphasis on possible, price strength continuation. So check the box. We looked at the 10-year chart for the sector that AT&T is in, IYZ, and we note that it's also doing fairly well for 2018 and might be at an area of support. AT&T has a good value score, a good growth score. These are highlighted because they're absolutely critical for me. With a forecasted earnings growth rate going forward of 10%, it's got a current dividend yield of 6.69%. This is why I'm putting this chart in front of you. If there's a bounce in the market, these are the guys that I want to go to first. Really great fundamental scores, beautiful yield. It's also a dividend aristocrat. It's in my dividend aristocrat basket, meaning that it's got 33 years of consecutive dividend growth. Love to see that. I don't have this box checked because we do not have a 3 and 8 EMA daily cross yet. It's too early on AT&T, at least for me. But it's a chart that I'm going to keep an eye on. It's got seasonality in its favor. We looked at FinViz. It has analyst support. It's got a current PE of 8.57, and it looks as though their next earnings are on January 30th. Thank you for watching today's video, and as a reminder, they go out every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Every once in a while, I'm going to put a video out on a more timely basis, shorter video if I see something setting up that looks interesting. If you like today's video, give it a like, and we'll see you Thursday.